welcome to the Wednesday, August 20th, 2025 work session meeting of the Penfield Town Board. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Barry?
Here.
Lee is absent. Leenhouts?
Here.
Ockenden?
Here.
Teglash? Here.
Okay, approval of the minutes is on the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the July 6th minutes or any discussion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, vote please, Crystal.
Barry?
Aye.
Leenhouts?
Aye.
Ockenden?
Aye.
Teglash? Aye.
Okay, do we have any guests tonight?
We don't have any guests tonight.
Okay, all right. So we'll go right into the action items, and the first one is the 2135 Mile Line conditional use permit application. Carrie, will you lead us the discussion,
I
please?
certainly will. This is an application for a conditional use permit that's required to change the occupancy, the current occupancy of the building, or maybe to better say that, to change it back. So 2130 is currently comprised of interior office spaces. The upstairs units or offices are not occupied. The applicant's seeking approval to return them back to apartment units. The proposal right now on the table is to convert the two vacant office spaces, but is seeking approval to potentially convert all of the offices back to apartments as leases are up, if that's something that's working well for him in the use of the building. In the packet, you had an application materials, the application form, the letter of intent. There was also supporting documentation that I'll sort of just, for anybody looking at home, here's the front of the building. There's no proposed exterior changes. This is strictly an interior renovation would be involved. They'd be working with the building department to obtain necessary permits. No historic preservation board review is required because it's only interior. The building used to be apartment units, and so the request is to go back to the apartment configuration. And the main reason for the request from the applicant, who is here in the audience today, is because the office market just isn't what it used to be, especially since COVID. So having difficulty finding tenants for the available space. This is a project that wasn't automatically eligible for administrative review under the Four Corners regulations because it does reflect a change in occupancy type, going from a office to a residential. The town board still has the ability, if it deems it prudent or necessary, you could always authorize me to administer or administratively issue the conditional use permit needed to change, or you can have a public hearing on the matter. So I couldn't automatically administer the conditional use permit, but that's something that you, as the board, could determine whether you want to have a public hearing.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask that, because it looks like, to me, a hearing wouldn't be required because it's not a subdivision or any of those criteria, so it's not a mandatory.
It's not mandatory,
Yeah, okay.
so to have a public hearing, but the way our Four Corners is written, there's certain parameters where it automatically is eligible for administrative issuance. This is not one of them. And so that would be something that the board could still authorize me to issue it administratively. And we'll go back to the, I'll go back to the parking. There is on-site parking available on the parcel. It's also, the parcel is also adjacent to public parking that's available in the town-owned lot at 1839, right here. But there's enough space, and I don't know, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe there's 8 spaces located behind the building.
And Carrie, I'm sorry, how many apartments are being proposed then on this?
Well, I think in total it would be 4 and I'm looking to Mr. Baruti to correct me if it's 4, so 2 upper and 2 lower.
Two per level.
Right now, it's, the ask for the immediate action would be, if once the conditional use permit has been issued, he'd be seeking the renovation of the upper two spaces to convert them back to apartments. The lower units wouldn't be converted until such time that leases for current office tenants have expired.
So there used to be apartments dating back to the 1970s,
Yeah,
correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so will there be residential requirements for apartments, I'm assuming have changed significantly since the 70s?
He's been in touch with the building department
Okay.
because there'd be
I
building
missed it.
permit.
I didn't, okay.
So I connected Mr. Baruti to the building department and fire marshal's office to
Right.
understand codes have changed.
Right.
So whatever renovations might be required to make them legally occupiable spaces, but it has enough square footage to be, meet code requirements. There just might be updates to plumbing or updates
Right.
to electrical, fire exits, things of that nature. But because it's an existing structure, the section of the building code that, or the uniform code that the department will use varies. It's different than a new construction.
Right, okay.
Well, based on the challenges small commercial has, it would make sense to me to do a conversion.
I do like the idea of having a public hearing on it, just, again, that the public knows and they have a chance to say it, but I'm also open to
Yeah,
what the
is
rest
there
of the
any-
board thinks.
What's the closest residential to that, right? We've got commercial north and south.
There's residential units on the upper stories along
Okay.
Penfield Road. So there's, right here on the corner, there's upper floor units, there's upper floor, I believe, in a few of these buildings.
Yep, okay. Yeah, but not directly next door then, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think through the change of use and public
Right.
hearing if,
Yeah, so then,
Directly impacted.
yeah, I don't see a direct impact on a, you know,
On anything
on
else,
a
yeah.
direct neighbor that would, I would lean towards not requiring one,
Okay.
but that's just me.
Yeah, I would agree with not.
Yeah, me too.
Is there, so what would you be looking
You
for
need a
tonight?
motion.
Just,
it would be a motion to authorize administrative issuance by me. And so then that's make the motion, and that's a roll call vote, and then I would issue the conditional use permit administratively and note that it was decided at this evening.
Crystal, you have all that language? Because I'll make that motion based on Carrie's narrative.
I'll second.
Okay, vote please, Crystal.
All right, so Leenhouts,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
Teglash, and
Aye.
I forgot Mr. Barry, sorry about that.
All right, it's good to change it once.
Keeping everybody on their toes.
It's all right.
Makes us listen.
All right, move on to the next item. Proposed local law to amend Chapter 198.
Oh, I think we
Is
skipped
that
one.
right?
Did-
Or LaSalle's Landing, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
we can.
You're all set.
You're all set. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll follow up with you.
Have a good night.
Take
I'll be
care.
in touch with you tomorrow. Thank
I
you.
think that's kind of exciting. I'd love to see people living in that.
That's a
Yes.
great, and
Right?
the inside looks really neat.
Yeah.
That looked nice, a nice historical.
Sure did.
yeah.
And it's a great spot. You can walk to a million places, and Joe Gott's is next. Like, there's just, I would be so, I would need to walk around the block a few times.
Sushi King.
I know, there's so many
up all your
places in
favorite
close
spots.
walking
It's a lot.
distance.
Don't
Pizza,
have to cross the street or anything.
Starbucks in the morning. Boy, don't-
yes.
Maybe we add an apartment to the budget for town board use.
So the next item is the LaSalle's Landing Comfort
you.
Station. So this is located in the LaSalle's Landing District. It's also located within the boundary of our local waterfront revitalization program. And because there's going to be permits required, we have to do a local waterfront consistency review. So in your packet, there was the waterfront consistency application form, and then there's a memo that was prepared by Mark, looking at the project and what's entailed. Then we do a review of our LWRP and the 13 policies and determine whether or not the proposed actions in conformance with the LWRP, and we have found that it is. And so we would be asking for a resolution to accept the waterfront consistency review. And this is something that we do with development applications that are not exempt from it. It's under Chapter 232 or Waterways Code that has these provisions. So I'd be looking for a resolution. And then as part of that, we've also reviewed the action, and based on the Type 2, under SEQR, there are Type 2 actions specified, and there are 2 that are, this project falls within, that would deem it a Type 2 action, and so no further environmental analysis would be needed from the town. There is permitting that the town is going to be navigating through New York State DEC because we are in the wetland buffer, and so we'll be obtaining a joint permit through the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers.
Anytime we're doing something like this, I love the idea I love having that memo in the file on the seeker. I think that's
It's a nice way for
Keep
us
the
to
record.
have the record, especially when it's a town action.
Yeah.
So we can be reminded that we did check all the boxes and go through all of the
Whenever a question
reviews.
comes up, it clearly shows it's captured in the minutes, as well as, we've got the memo in the file.
Yeah, and I'll note it as part of the waterfront consistency review resolution as well.
And refresh my memory, this is just the ongoing project. This isn't because we have to do something again because of the changes to what we're doing with the foundation.
No,
correct?
yeah, this is just
still
a
our
step
first
we
time
were.
through it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're in the design phase, so before the building could be constructed, you'd have to do this waterfront
Okay.
consistency review, and so it's better before we even get to that point that it's just done.
Understand.
And you really need to look at seeker right at the beginning, too,
Right.
because you
Yes.
have to do an environmental review.
I say we've been looking at the floodplain, we've been looking at the
Right.
wetlands, we've been,
Yes.
we'll continue to go through the joint app, as Carrie said, with,
Yeah.
with those agencies, but
Yeah, from a procedural standpoint, we
that
don't
we've
need to
completed
do
the
the
secret
type,
process.
Part 2 and Part 3. So if you're comfortable with that, we would prepare a resolution for the September legislative session.
I'll make the motion that you prepare a resolution for a legislative session.
I'll second that.
Okay, Crystal, please.
Barry?
Vote.
Aye.
Leenhouts?
Aye.
Ockenden? and
Aye.
Teglash?
Aye.
All right, next one, proposed local law to amend Chapter 198, the stormwater. Carrie, you're
Excellent.
still up?
Yes, and I do apologize, there might be, I don't know if everybody's got the most recent one, but this is, so Chapter 198 is being revised internally with a staff from multiple departments have been looking at these regulations. The intent of the modifications would be to streamline the language, have it be more organized in terms of how and where the information is presented, to make sure there's no design-related requirements. Those belong in the town's design and construction specifications. And also, we wanted to remove any references to specific fees or things of that nature, because those are subject to change, and so we wanted to have that incorporated by reference only. Town board annually adopts a fee schedule that captures those types of things. And so this is really just a sort of, we've been going through various town codes trying to clean things up that haven't been looked at in some time or some number of decades, and so this is just the next one. What I wanted to, because now local laws can be communicated and shared electronically, that wanted to ask for the permission for when the final version or final draft is ready, Jeff would circulate it to you at the town board. And once that happens, I could then submit it for public hearing to the next available legislative session. If we wait until it's ready, and then I have to wait until September's work session meeting, it's going to add some extra delay that may not be necessary.
Because it has to be introduced by a member of the body, so that's why, it makes sense to have Jeff send the email. You can do it by email, but no matter how you do it, there's a certain number of days it has to be on the desks of the legislators.
And
so
even
that's
for the
why
public
we're doing
hearing notice, we have to have it in the paper 10 days before, and so we want to make sure we're being efficient, but also not waiting more than we need to, if that makes sense. So if you're comfortable, I would just be asking you to authorize me to advertise for a public hearing or submit the public notice as soon as the local law is circulated by Jeff.
And right now, you're looking, would that probably be October, that when you back into those dates? Could it be as
Yeah,
soon as
it would be,
September? October?
it'd be October
Okay.
because
The soonest.
the soonest that it'd be available. If we waited to September to get that permission, I don't have enough days to get it in the paper.
Right.
Pushed to November.
Now we're in November, and it just
Okay.
adds extra time for no reason, so.
Right, right.
Okay.
So just looking for authorization to submit legal notice when the
I'll make the
draft is ready.
motion that we authorize Ms. Ivers to post a public notice and get this thing moving.
I'll second.
Okay, vote, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Leenhouts,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
and Teglash.
Aye.
Thanks, Crystal. All right. And then we have a sidewalk waiver request. Mark Valentine.
Yes, so this is currently before the planning board. So this was, I noticed, the former Dolomite office building kind of on the top of the hill between Penfield Road and Old Penfield Road. Dolomite installed the sidewalk along the Penfield Road frontage a few years ago. As that connected, now they're coming in for a new expansion to this building that trips our site plan review and then kicks in the need to, install a sidewalk. If anybody has driven down Old Penfield Road recently, we've got quite steep slopes. We've got, so a steep slope EPOD, woodland EPOD. It's a very challenging spot with, I don't know of a lot of return of who's walking in that area that comes out. So you've got the Sable Oaks people, they can walk down to the apartments, and then you've got the apartment people that have a connection at Ellison Heights out to Penfield Road. So they're seeking a sidewalk waiver. I included the site map in there. Did the cost analysis of what that would be, and Carrie's kind of got the Google Street View as we're driving down. So to facilitate installation of a sidewalk, they'd have to clear basically all the trees off the hillside, put in retaining walls, kind of regrade, all of that area. So it came before PRC. PRC was supportive of the waiver, and then if the board did grant it, then it would be a contribution back to the general fund that would then fund sidewalks elsewhere.
When we look at whether it's a contribution or they put in a sidewalk, can you go back to the aerial?
Yes.
What would that entail? I can see that it would obviously be right there. How far would that go down Old Penfield Road?
So it would entail their frontage on Old Penfield Road. So I think in one of the sketches, so it would go down all the way, and there's a point just a
So it
little bit
wouldn't make the
past
corner, no matter what?
It would
It's
not make
gonna
the corner, no.
Okay, okay.
They've got a piece that they don't own, and then they've got Sable Oaks, the neighborhood up at top owns a piece, and then
Right.
1529 owns a piece, so there's a couple of different parcels in between there, so it wouldn't complete a connection as,
To be a sidewalk to nowhere without any,
Well, and then
Right, without somebody else.
without any like.
Exactly.
And then it would-
And there's also,
connect down to RIT, and RIT's not,
They're not going to.
connected.
Yeah. When you, again, to the aerial,
Oh, yeah.
if, could you go out a little? And this neighborhood right there, right behind it, if you will, or to the right, left of it, that just loops all the way around. Do those individuals, do anybody live there, if they wanted to walk over to the market there?
They have the
can they
rights.
cut through? Is there a,
There is a little old gravel path that goes down, so right here.
Here?
There's
Here,
an
I'll
old
come.
gravel path that comes off the end of, it was an emergency access, so they could come down that little gravel road,
Okay.
and Bob, you probably know, was
Yeah.
the fire, that was an old fire access that kind of went up, it kind of goes way to the right and then loops back up in.
It might be a little overgrown at the moment.
This way and then up through here.
Yeah.
So that's not needed any longer for the emergency access. With the development of Ellison Heights down below, we made sure that that was a second means of egress. So they've got Penfield Road and they've got Old Penfield Road.
Right.
So the emergency access wasn't needed, but there is still kind of that gravel path they can go that way. Or when Ellison Heights came in, we made sure that they have legal right, both vehicular and pedestrian, that they can cut through the apartments there and then get out and then
Over
walk
there.
internally.
okay.
cross-access.
Yep, so they can drive out and then exit onto Penfield Road that way if
Okay,
they'd like.
instead of having to do that.
Or go all the way around the block or
Okay.
pedestrian. So that was one of the items we made sure that they've got legal right of access through that parcel if they,
I just think of the people living there just to go so close to, I'm
Yeah, I
blank
mean,
on the name right now.
And there's elevation and grade.
Gentles, yeah,
Yeah,
gentles.
gentles that, you could simply
Yeah.
walk in nice weather, but
I mean, for them to get to this sidewalk, they'd have to go out and around down
Yeah,
till
exactly.
and back up. And
Right.
looking on a plan view, it looks flat, but, elevation-wise, if you're on a horizontal, it's quite a bit of grade change
Just from those apartments
between
to
the
the-
properties. And then
Okay.
Carrie, could you go street view at where Mark was talking about the old emergency access? If I remember right, it's just become kind of overgrown, but there probably is a means for them to
Bear with
walk
me.
out.
Yeah, it's right about there. So that's the actual paved, go to the right, you're almost there.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
that's their little paved access that actually goes out. You had it.
Oh, this?
Go up,
Yeah,
right up.
yep, right there.
So that was their paved access that went up in for the,
oh, yeah, it's all
So-
overgrown, isn't it?
it's no longer needed for the emergency access,
Right.
but if somebody wanted to walk down it or they wanted to
It's doable.
clear it out,
Okay.
it's doable as a pedestrian access way. So I say included in your drop materials what the cost, difference is, and then, they would basically run into the cap of, as a commercial property, it would be a $10,000 maximum fee, is what the commercial rate is. So if the waiver was granted, we'd issue them a letter, and then, that would be their fee payable time of building permit. Yeah, now you're turning on the topo, you can kind
I'm
of
just,
see
yeah, it's showing that,
elevation and grades as it drops off. So
It is a big drop, yeah.
cutting into that slope and taking those trees out, to what benefit of
To
who's
nothing.
walking in
It would
there?
be different if there was some connection,
Yeah, that's just
right?
trying to see what it tied into without,
Right.
all the other environmental impacts.
Right, but knowing that if they wanted to walk, that would be a much shorter path anyways. Right? Even if the sidewalk would go all the way around.
That would be a
Right.
shorter
Yeah,
exit for them to get
exactly.
down to the plaza or to Gentles Market, as you
Yeah.
said.
That makes sense to
Yeah,
me.
I agree.
So if we can just,
Okay.
we don't have to do a resolution, but if we can do just a roll call vote on
Okay.
that, for me to issue the sidewalk waiver letter.
Okay. Crystal, vote?
So I'm changing it up, we just need a roll call vote, so if you can call
Oh,
a roll.
okay. So Barry,
Aye.
and Leenhouts,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
and Teglash.
Aye.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, we got some informational items, I believe. We'll start with EPOD mapping, yeah.
Yep, so this is something that the board reviewed and approved when we did the EPOD updates earlier this year, was how we go about updating our mapping. So this is more formality just to acknowledge, and kind of similar to what we did with the new policies for the Transportation Committee, just acknowledging tonight into the public that, Matt's gone through our process, he's followed the adopted process of how and, when we update our EPOD maps, but just wanted to make it formal tonight that, as of, if the board says yes, we're good, we'll move forward, and then our new EPOD maps go into effect. So as we've got new data, new topo and contours, that updates our steep slope EPODs, or we've got new wetland, mapping from, DEC and other agencies. So no action needed tonight by the board, officially to vote, but as Carrie's pulling up, we had stipulated this is how and when,
Right.
those maps would be updated, but just wanted to kind of make a formal, I won't say break, but just saying when tomorrow somebody calls and says, hey, I wasn't in the EPOD map yesterday, well, you
And
are
they see it.
today.
yeah.
So that's why we're just having the informational meeting tonight to say, we're going to go live with the new stuff, and wanted to make the board and the public aware that
Right.
we're going to switch over and
So
to those
everyone can be
updates.
aware that this is now the time where we start
Yep.
doing it. Good.
And what is that memo, what was that from?
This?
Yeah.
This is in our code. So this is the provision in the town code that says the maps would be updated by town staff periodically based on new information.
Yeah. I know we talked about this, but I'm wondering.
But I think this is differentiates and doesn't require us to come back to, because in the code it outlines the provisions or how it's going to be updated. And so I think it does not need local law to update the mapping, because it's reference material only. It's not a true delineation, because there can be on-the-ground conditions that aren't reflected in the mapping.
It's different than like a zoning.
Correct.
We use it as a reference and say it's a steep slope. We're using it on the best LiDAR data. When somebody comes in and actually does on-the-ground topo, then, that can adjust where that actually falls. And when they do a wetland delineation, that would
'Cause
adjust where the actual boundary is.
All
So
right.
this is just
Right.
Because there's
reference.
some case law that talks about if you put something in your local law and say that the town board can do it just by kind of resolution, then, but it's for the zoning map, that
That's
doesn't
official.
apply.
Yes.
But this is a little different, so,
These are,
Yeah.
okay.
these are reference maps, as
Yeah.
Gary
All right.
referred to. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Board.
So I have one informational item. So we're working on the budget. So June, July, the comptroller and myself met with department heads, some more than once, to kind of review the budget, which is now getting to the town board in their hands. And just some dates upcoming that are also on the website. September 3rd, the supervisor and comptroller will present the 2026 tentative budget to the town board. That'll be at 6:30 at the town board meeting. Then October 1st, presentation in the public hearing on the 2026 preliminary budget. And then October 29th, the town will hopefully adopt the 2026 final budget, 2026 final budget. And then we will submit on October 30th the adopted budget to Monroe County so they can kind of do their thing. So that's it. Next informational item is the fiscal impact and housing analysis study, proposal follow-up, and turn it over to Mark and Carrie.
So just wanted to share with the board that the interviews were conducted that included staff from various departments, and also Candace Lee and Linda Teglash joined us for those interviews. There's the proposals and the sort of the interviews are still being evaluated, so there's nothing to report tonight. Just wanted to share that update that the evaluation continues, and we hope to have some results or discussion for the September work session. And I'm looking to Linda to say if I've missed anything, you can let me know.
I think that's perfect. The interviews, we interviewed all that submitted. The interviews were well run, and now there's analysis to do and feedback to give to you
Yeah.
all.
And that was it.
All right.
Simple and quick.
Yeah.
And the town's got some projects that are in the works, so Mark's going to review some of those, or all of them.
Yeah, I can start, and then Gary can jump in. So Philbrook Park Bridge, working along on that, and thank you, Board, for the quick response. So we're going to work on adding those viewing platforms. So I got that back to the contractor today. They'll go get those in, and then they've got a few small sections to finish on that. We've got a scheduled kind of walkthrough next week with them, and then we'll be looking at hopefully wrapping that up and have a ribbon cutting, I think, scheduled mid to late September.
Right. Would you go into detail, because we're familiar with it,
Sure.
but I'm sure anybody, public would love to hear this.
We've talked about the bridge before, so we've kind of taken 3 bridges that were separate. So in Philbrook Park, as you're kind of walking upstream, headed towards Perrington, so down in the Honey Creek area, replaced some very old bridges that were in disrepair and put in a nice new 6-foot wide ADA compliant pathway with new railings. It's not done yet, so don't walk there. There's still signs to say keep out, but coming soon. And as part of it, as we were looking at within the project, we were able to fit in a little viewing platform area. So on the curve of the creek, we're looking at adding a little space that you can sit, have a bench, and kind of look at the creek and enjoy the environment and stuff in the area. So that's been a nice little amenity. The project came in under budget, so there was opportunity within the budget. It was allocated ARPA funds, so within that budget was opportunity to add this viewing platform while still coming in under budget. So that's a nice add-on to that. So that piece, again, doesn't exist quite yet. Carrie's kind of pulling up those design documents, but you can see we're looking kind of down on an aerial photo, so you're walking in, if you're parked in the normal Philbrook Park entrance, walking up the trail. There were 3 different bridges and kind of different stages of disrepair. We're running one big, long bridge that encompasses all of those and more, and then adding a viewing area at the very end that you can kind of overlook the creek. And
Yeah, can you highlight where that viewing area will be?
so that'll be down
Here.
towards the end. So
Okay.
yep, so that'll be down at the end. You can kind of overlook down at the curve of the creek there. So I think that'll be a nice amenity to add to that, and then have a few benches that will be bolted down to the deck. But you can see the old ones coming out. So that was, everybody remembered that was more of the style we're doing now, so it's kind of an aluminum deck. Wider was the first one, and then you got into what I used to call the funhouse bridge that kind of was sliding down the hill, and then there were some stairs that went up that were starting to slide down the hill, and then you went to the next one that was a little worse than the one before. And, so you can see those were kind of all intermediary, and now this is one big, long, comprehensive piece. It's a little higher, up than it was before, but it's been a nice project and method. They use these helical coils to, helical piles, to auger down in, so you're not down in the creek. No one's, in the creek beds of the DEC and the Army Corps are like that. They, auger in, out on a post, auger the two in, set the next deck piece, track out, and then, set the next piece. So they've kind of got a unique system to do it. Minimal disruption to the banks, and, but I think it'll be a great amenity to the town once that's done, and, make the, that portion of the creek much more accessible.
I miss the old bridge, but the new one, it's just, yeah, good or bad, I miss the rope bridge. But
I do too, I always say.
My niece and nephew came and visited us a couple years ago, and when they came back this year, they were excited to go back. Can we go on those bridges? I said,
But this new bridge is,
To come back, the other ones will be a little bit more boring now than the other ones were before.
This is exciting. Our Trails Committee meeting is next week, and this will be fun if they're not aware yet to share
Yeah,
with them. I
so I
think they'll
can-
be thrilled to see that.
I say the board has kind of the schematic, and I didn't think I'd included it in the drop. It just came in yesterday. But the board has it kind of, and we can add that in, showing kind of where those little bump out locations and that seating is. They've got almost all the decking in. They've got to go back and add the railing around the outside. So right now it's, has some fall areas off the side. That's why the public isn't, admitted back on it yet. Once they add the railing back in, then, we'll do a formal ribbon cutting and open it up. And
it's spectacular. I mean, it's really, almost over 500 feet or so, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And will we have like an opening for it when it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Good,
We'll
good.
schedule a ribbon cutting for it and an opening, and now we'll have a connection to the, Barrington just had completed theirs out of Spring Lake Park a couple of years ago, but this will complete a connection all the way from Victor all the way to the bay, so you can connect through here and then.
And what again is our ETA on it? When do we expect it all to be?
We're targeting mid-September.
Okay, that's right around the corner.
Late September, so just kind of depends on how these, those little bump outs go in, and then, quickly as they can get the railings in. So, yeah, it should be open by the end of summer.
Yeah,
You can get all the way to the bay?
Yeah, so you walk through here, and then you get through Philbrook, you go under 441, there's a trail there that goes behind Tops.
I'm behind Tops, and I
Yep.
stop there. like,
Then you actually have to take the sidewalk
Yeah, yeah, you have to know the
up
connection.
Penfield Road, and then you go down Coyote Den Trail, and then Coyote Den Trail takes you into Ellison Park.
Ellison, yeah.
And then once you're in Ellison Park,
Yeah, okay, so you got it, yeah, all right.
so it's not all just,
You got to carry your kayak, part of the,
we got to keep some challenge in this, we're making.
The one thing that the Trails Committee has been talking about is the Honey Creek. Jenny, who started the Trails Committee years ago, of trying to do a dedication for her, and she
very
turns 103
Wow,
in October. And so this is great that this is going to open
great.
before her
That'd be
birthday.
very
So that's
exciting.
pretty cool. Yeah.
That's excellent timing.
well, thank you.
I'll just keep talking
Yeah.
while I'm going. So Empire Pump Station number 1, so if anybody's been by Empire Boulevard down LaSalle's Landing, we've got the pump station, pulled apart. They're doing some new retaining walls around it, so this is part of our READY grant we got a few years ago. So just completing that, so it's just lifting the pump station up. We took the opportunity to use some of those funds while we're lifting it up out of the floodplain to do some upgrades to the pump station, add a generator. So the board had allocated some additional money, so once we're done, this pump station hopefully should be good for many years to come. So that if you drive by and see construction equipment down in the LaSalle's area, that's completing those upgrades on that. And then I'll turn it over to Gary for the house and others.
Yes, so the Alpheus Clerk House is continuing to be under construction. You're going to start to see a lot of very visible progress happening. You'll start to see outer walls are being framed as we speak. You also noticed a lot of renovation to the existing Alpheus Clerk House. The front porch has been repaired and is continuing to be repaired. You'll start to see windows going in on the original Clark House as well. They are, obviously with a house of that age, there are things that we're uncovering There'll be some bee service, bee removal happening at some point. So there's lots of there's a family of baby birds in the windowsill that we can't take the nest down quite yet. So it's been a very active site, but things are going really according to plan at this point, and very exciting to see. And so in the next coming weeks, you'll really start to see the progress. We did, when the siding pieces were removed, if anybody was driving by and saw 2 doors on the side used as sheathing underneath the siding, so it wasn't, they must have needed wood and used what they had. And so when the contractor was getting ready to remove them, I asked them to save them. And they've been since delivered to the local history room.
Oh, wow,
so not sure what the plans for the doors will be, but figured that would be something neat and worth saving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the bricks from the original chimney that was determined not to be original, not necessary, but we did save some of the bricks as well. Those are also been provided to the local history room. So it's going to be fun and exciting times at that site. Yes, and then for the LaSalle's Landing comfort station, design continues. Town staff is expecting to receive 50% construction drawings in the next couple of weeks. We've got a pretty tight schedule trying to keep that project moving, and with the expectation that the project would go out to bid in the fall, and we'd be looking to award the project, hopefully, fingers crossed, before the end of the year. So, and they're making good progress there as well. Am I forgetting any projects?
DPW?
Oh, DPW, that's early. I'm not sure if Mark and I.
Bob's not here tonight.
Yeah, so.
Well,
Obviously, the walls are, still going up. I know they're pouring, I think they're pouring the concrete for the lean-to area, out front. So that continues to, progress forward, and I think, moving along well.
I
Yeah.
think they're on time, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Sure.
And you can go right into the active transportation plan. Give us an update, please.
The only update I want to share, and I've been shouting this from the rooftops, the community survey for the active transportation plan is currently open. It will be open until September 19th. That link to the survey has been shared with every board and committee, and we've encouraged widely that you share it with friends and family. We haven't had our update meeting since the community survey was released, but that'll be something that we'll get updates on and see how we're doing in terms of response, so we can share that as we go along. We are going to have the poster for that community survey at Friday night's family fun event at the Shadow Pines property. We also were going to have that poster on display at the health fair in September. So we're really trying to push people to participate and provide as much input as possible.
Right. Can we ask our PCT folks to put that in a banner just while it's open on the website so it's front and center? I was at a meeting last night and said, go out to the website and you can access the survey. And they're like, where is it? And it would be nice just to have something permanent until we close it.
Okay.
Right on the homepage.
Yep, and we
Yeah.
have a graphic that that the website folks have, and we can ask them to get it up there and keep it on the.
Yeah, like even at the banner, something that's just small, take survey here or something.
Yeah,
Thank
Okay.
you.
Click here.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
That's great. We had a Meet the Supervisor event today with our older adults, part of the DEER program, and I think we're going to do that in September, part of their program, to have the active transportation
We are going to have
stuff there.
focus group
Yeah.
sessions, and so seniors are one. We're also going to have a focus group with students, and then we're having one with agencies that are involved with active transportation, and then as well as interest groups that are connected to that topic as well. So we're looking to schedule that in September timeframe. So other opportunities for more directed input to make sure that all user groups are being reflected.
And we prefer older adults as opposed to seniors now, Carrie,
Oh, I
just
do
so you know.
apologize. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. Thank you for the correction. I will correct.
As I approach 60
No.
January. Anyway, okay. Climate Action Plan, RFP, Mark.
Did you want to,
I think we had one we just.
campus
missed.
facility?
Yeah,
Did you want-
just
okay.
give a quick update on that if we could. So I'll share a piece, and then
Thank you.
Gary's got another piece of that. So I know we've still been working with Plan Architecture. Chris Lopez has shared a schematic layout with the library. So again, this is just a massing look at, their thoughts and needs. So he's shared that back with them. I think the library board is looking at that as well. This is, again, just to kind of get, he did an assessment, which we followed up with before, with the courts and library to kind of see what their thoughts and needs are for the future. So he's just kind of doing some, general space analysis and then get a rough, cost of that. So as we move forward through the year, having costs and then, kind of looking at space needs across the community. So as we also then reach out to the public and see what, the public thinks. We've heard from staff, we've heard from, the public as well.
Yeah. Was the idea with meeting with the library board members and people that work there, librarian, et cetera, is to get their feedback and how they would imagine that space if they have it all? So for example, let's knock down this wall, or
Yep.
let's do this.
Yep.
So
So
they would
it's-
take that feedback.
Yep.
Okay, I
So
think
that's-
that I'm going to take that back to them because I think there was a little confusion. We actually talked about it last night at the meeting.
Okay.
And I'll just take that
Okay.
back to
I
them.
mean, obviously, we got to weigh in cost at some point, so it's not, the sky's the limit.
Understood, and it's just so
There might
initial,
also be some
right?
structural limitations because
Yeah, I
the
mean, we got
building
to
was
look at the
constructed.
building, we got to look at infrastructure,
yes.
so it's just kind of looking at, what are their thoughts and
Right.
needs if, recreation moved out, what, could that
Okay,
space be
okay.
reimagined as? I know they've also reached out to the courts. They're trying to set up some different areas for the, the juror areas and, maybe a better setup from what they
Right,
have today.
right.
So that's kind of the space study is what do we need, where do we see our growth, what are the demands, coming in the future, just so we can kind of have that, data together. And then, as Gary's going to share, we're, look to reach out to the public and what does the public, want, what do our community members want, and what are they looking for out of our facilities, so we can kind of take, hopefully, both of those together and then, kind of start to, form some ideas of moving forward.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then my piece of it is we had last month or a couple months ago released a request for qualifications for folks that could specialize in the public engagement component to talk about facilities needs in the future with the community at large. We have since received 7 qualifications packets, so.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot of interest in the potential to help us talk to the community about this project. Those qualification packets have been circulated to the town board members. We've also circulated them to the department heads so that they can review and share thoughts and feedback. The hope is that by the September meeting, we'll have feedback and thoughts to share and, sort of how to proceed and next steps type of a thing.
If board members have feedback, you want to just send it to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please. So, so that we were excited to see that response, and folks were sending them in, we gave a specific date and time, and I was getting them days in advance, and so just people were very excited, it
something. That's
seems.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Linda. Okay, Climate Action Plan.
So this is something that the EECC has been working on, along with Matt and Sarah. They've developed an RFP. They've looked at what other communities have done, to go out to, look for a consultant to help us with our climate action plan. So this was something that was in our budget this year. The board did allocate funds to that, so that's funded. So we're hoping we could get the RFP out this fall and then get a consultant in before the end of the year, and then, lock those funds in so that, we can utilize the money that was in this year's budget for that. So I know at this point they're looking at basically kind of a 3-phased approach to it. So the first phase, and I don't have all the, details to that, but you did share it with the board, but, authorize the
Right.
first phase and then kind of see how, that goes, and then, look at phase 2 and 3 in the future. So put that out there if the board has any, initial thoughts or, comments, feedback on the RFP, but wanted to make sure the board was well aware that that's going out to the world.
I did have some feedback. I don't have to go over it all now. I can just submit.
You can just provide it back
Yeah,
to us. and we'll-
exactly. Just a few things that I thought, I'll provide that to you. I'll
Perfect.
send you an email.
That's why we shared and
Perfect.
wanted to make sure the board was well aware, and two, if you had things you
Yep.
wanted us to incorporate.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? I don't think we have anything held, anything old, new? Anything I'm missing? All right. With everybody's blessing, I'll now adjourn this meeting. Our next work session is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025.
September.
I'll adjourn this meeting at 7:15. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
And thank you to Crystal for her first official meeting.
Yes,
Yes, thank
yes,
you.
well done, well done.
Perfect.